We are back in Corpus Christi, feels like our new home, and we're here with the voice of the Hooks, Michael Coffin. Michael, long time no see. It's nice to be back so soon.
It's just it's great to have you guys. We missed you, and lovely to see the bright red out there in the outfield right now, warming up.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that while you were happy to see the RoughRiders clinch last weekend, I'm sure that, part of you is, I'm sure, happy as the Hooks staff is happy that there wasn't a team celebrating out there on the field. It's always nice to beat a team and not have to witness that.
Well, it is tough to take to watch the guys pounce out there on the mound after a big W, but well-deserved first half title. Frisco, without question, the best team in the league, and only getting better with some of the additions that the Rangers have added of late. So it should be an exciting second half, and we hope to make it a challenge for you guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a little bit odd seeing Corpus Christi where it is in the standings at this point, because Frisco winning that first half ended a string of 3 consecutive halves where the Hooks finished in first place in the Texas League South Division. It's almost like it's a bit of a transition year in terms of the farm system, at least at this level with Houston, based on where it was the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think there's somewhat of a gap right now. With the team that broke spring training with us was outstanding. When you factor in Kike Hernandez, Preston Tucker, Matt Duffy, Joe Sclafani, guys like that are already making an impact in AAA. And, it's just one of those deals where the guys at Lancaster, Jeff Luhnow and the Astros, think awfully highly of that group. And it seems like they're really hesitant to break those guys up. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of those stay down in Lancaster for the entire year as they try and contend for a California League title. And we'll just see how it plays out here. The guys that are on the club right now, a scrappy bunch, from Jonathan Meyer to Gio Meyer. Some new additions have kind of inserted some excitement, from Carlos Perdomo to Ruben Sosa. It's just a different team. Delano DeShields Jr. having trouble getting on base. Once he figures that out, his speed adds a tremendous dynamic. Andrew Applin has kind of been banged up, and Nolan Fontana is one of those guys that he gets on base a lot. You have to have somebody behind him that can drive him in. So this Hooks team goes from a ball club that could sit around and wait for the home run when it came to Tucker or Duffy. Now it's a matter of you have to string hits together. Hooks got 12 hits last night and scored just 2 runs, as an example, just 2 going for extra base hits. So that's going to be the big challenge. Really, the unfortunate nature of all this is the way the Hooks pitchers have performed of late. Some tremendous pitching, and it makes for close games, makes for exciting games. So although the record is poor when you consider 4 games under 500, the way the team has played, it seems like in every contest it's not that bad, but certainly it shows up in the numbers.
Well, we missed a lot of when Duffy really heated up over the month of May. He was the best player in the league over that second month of the season. He's been moved up to AAA. So was Preston Tucker, and he was the guy that really aggregated all the stats, all the extra base hits, still leading the league in home runs. But where does he compare to some of the big sluggers that you've seen come through here at Whataburger Field over the last couple of years?
Well, I think he adds a nice dynamic. He's a guy that when he hits a ball, it stayed hit. And for a left-handed batter to succeed in this ballpark is certainly tremendous. And I think it was just the way that he tattooed balls, because most of his home runs here were those low line drives that just got over the fence. And with this breeze blowing off Corpus Christi Bay right to left constantly every night at 20 miles an hour, those balls cut into the teeth of the wind. And he hit some shots that we've just never seen hit here that go out to right field, onto the berm and right center. And certainly he ranks up there in terms of raw power with guys like George Springer and John Singleton and Hunter Pence, for that matter.
You were talking about the group down in Lancaster earlier, and one of the players in particular who, of course, gets a lot of interest 2 years ago, the first overall pick, Carlos Correa, who has had a nice season down there. Any expectation that he might be moved up to Double-A at any point?
Well, what I've been reading is that, Jeff Luhnow, the Astros GM, has said that he wants Correa to get significant Double-A time this year. So here we are, a half has gone by. You would think it would be relatively soon. The Padres had their big number 1, Hunter Renfroe, called up yesterday, made an immediate impact, couple hits for the Missions last night. So, I'm not so sure. I thought it would have been now, to be honest with you, but it hasn't happened. And it's a challenge for those guys because he is their big prize. And when you insert him in this lineup, he's going to be exposed a little bit. Not a lot of protection right now. So we'll see. I think that he can make an impact immediately, just with the tools that he has, the way he's performed at the California League. I think he's ready. I think the Astros know that he's ready. It's just now a matter of finding the right spot. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
We're here with the voice of the Hooks, Michael Coffin. Michael, the difference between the way the pitching has worked out between last year and this year with the tandem starter system, it's night and day, and I'm sure injuries are a big reason for that, not only here but at other levels. Has that forced the organization, as far as through conversations you've had, for what you've read, to give any thought to whether or not this experiment, and it really is an experiment throughout the entire farm system, if that will continue or at least be dramatically altered in future years?
Well, I think we've already seen it. The Astros have abandoned that tandem as it was in terms of having guys with a tandem mate each time. Now the Astros, at least with the Hooks, have morphed into a 6-man rotation. And so a guy will start most times, and then but every couple times through the turn, we'll have a tandem mate. And so you only have a tandem mate essentially once every turn through the rotation. And this is a way to kind of give guys an extra bit of a breather, some lighten the load in terms of innings. And it's worked out so far. One of the guys that really has emerged for Corpus Christi that's really flown under the radar is Jordan Jankowski. He's a guy who was in the bullpen to start the year and has been tremendous since the calendar turned to, May for the most part. And you brought up the injuries. When you factor in guys in our starting rotation to begin the year were Colton Kane, Aaron West, even Ruben Alanese. We haven't seen a lot of those guys during extended spring training. So injuries have been a big factor. But I think the Astros are kind of pulling back from that. That's just my opinion. I haven't been told anything. But just from the way they're approaching it with a 6-man rotation. And, you want to see guys go out and compete in the 7th inning. You want to see guys go out when the tank is, just a quarter left in that tank, to go out there and grit it out and get that final out with a couple guys on base. I think it's part of development, and we'll see if the Astros kind of peel more toward that, the way that's been gone. It looks like they are. So
you mentioned
if that makes any sense at all. I'm not sure it does.
Makes absolute sense. You mentioned Jordan Jankowski. The national audience got to see him and got to see Whataburger Field in Corpus Christi on CBS Sports Network the last time we were in town. What has been the reaction from what you've heard of folks in the front office, how that went, and just other folks that maybe have been watching throughout the country? It seemed to me that the ballpark and, of course, the organization showed extremely well.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Alex. And I agree with you. I haven't got a chance to actually watch the telecast, but from all reports, it was a nice broadcast, and I think it showed off the city of Corpus Christi, the port, and this beautiful ballpark quite well, with the backdrops kind of second to none. Tremendous honor to be able to host an event like that, and I think it says a lot about our organization and the facilities guys that are here to be able to make that happen with such a short turnaround time. It's amazing because at 3 o'clock that afternoon, really nothing had been set up. You're like, is this thing going to happen or what? But they pulled it off quite well, and it was certainly a fun night.
It was part of a banner week for you guys because just a couple of days before, you got a chance to play a ball game against the San Antonio Missions at Minute Maid Park, the Astros Futures game, the first one of those that the organization's put on. Just tell me about that experience, and it just really puts a nice bow, I think, on what an exciting time it is for the Astros organization.
Well, I think it's just another indication of Reed Ryan and kind of how he views the big picture. That was kind of Reed's project, and I thought it was an amazing success. We had like 5,000 folks there in downtown Houston, and for the guys to get a taste of what it's going to be like. You know better than anyone that this is a grind. The 140-game schedule, not to factor in that there's a month of spring training beforehand. A lot of these guys play in winter leagues, fall leagues, whatever. And it takes a lot out of you. And to have that carrot kind of dangled down there, it really maybe entices these guys to go out there and make it to the next level and push it just a little bit harder. And it just shows you how life is like in the big leagues, from that ballpark, the facilities there, the robes in the hotel room, the list goes on and on. It was a lot of fun. The guys certainly enjoyed it. It was an entertaining ball game. 15-14, San Antonio won it, a lot of offense. And it was one of those once-in-a-lifetime type deals, hopefully not for the ball players.
Were you one of the guys that kept the robes?
I did not. My bag was a little too cramped for the robe, but I did don it. It was glorious.
That's Michael Coffin, the voice of the Corpus Christi Hooks. Mike, always great to catch up with you.
It's a pleasure, Alex, and we'll see you down the road.
We'll be back with more on our RoughRiders pregame show right after this here on the Frisco RoughRiders Baseball Network.